The tape sat in the shadowed corner of Emily's cluttered attic, wrapped in a faded plastic bag that was so fragile it threatened to disintegrate at the slightest touch. She had found it rummaging through her grandmother's old chests after her passing, an unassuming cassette labeled simply, "Do Not Play." The handwriting was shaky, trembling almost, as if written in fear. Yet curiosity, like a gust of wind, had pushed Emily to slip the tape into her portable player one quiet autumn evening. She settled into her grandmother's old rocking chair, the amber glow of the setting sun casting long shadows across the attic's peeling wallpaper. The first few seconds sounded normal, some static, faint whispers, then a voice. It was muffled, grainy, as if echoing from a distant, forgotten place. "Is this on?" a young, nervous voice asked. Emily stiffened. It wasn't familiar, and the tone was unsettling, half laugh, half whimper. The voice continued, more strained, desperate. "Grandma told me not to play this, said it's bad luck," it whispered. "But I had to find out. I had to know." A loud cracking sound interrupted the voice, words cut off mid-sentence. Then, a heavier silence, punctuated by what sounded like shuffling footsteps. Suddenly, the tape lurched, skipping, squealing with static. Emily tried to adjust the volume, but the audio grew clearer, more disturbing. "Hello? If you're listening, please, stop playing this," the voice pleaded, trembling with fear. "They're listening. They know I've got this. Run before it's too late." A cold prickle crawled up Emily's spine. She glanced around the attic, but the room was unchanged, still filled with relics from her grandmother's past. Yet, a faint, rhythmic thumping seemed to emanate from the walls, like a heartbeat. The voice continued, now hoarse and trembling. "It's unaired. They hid it away because what's on here, it's not meant for anyone to hear. But I couldn't keep it secret. I had to tell someone." Another shift in the audio, a low, guttural growl, then a scream that tore through the tape like a blade. Emily's heart pounded in her chest. Her fingers hovered over the stop button, trembling as she wondered if she should listen further, or turn it off and forget. But something compelled her to press on. The voice returned, quieter, subdued. "If you're still listening. I guess it's too late for me. They've found me. They're coming." The tape crackled and distorted, creating a chorus of unnatural static. Then, faintly, a new sound emerged. Something unholy, scraping and dripping, as if things from nightmares had come to life. Emily felt a shiver run through her, not just from fear but from the oppressive, unseen presence behind the words. Suddenly, a whisper gripped her ears. Not from the tape, no, it seemed to seep from the attic walls themselves. A voice, cold and deep, whispered her name. Emily. Her blood ran cold. Her instincts screamed to stop, to run, to escape. But her fingers fumbled, and she kept listening. The whispers grew louder, layered with whispers from the tape, creating a cacophony of madness. Then, silence. At least, in her ears. Emily hesitated. She looked around the dusty attic, now convinced that something had shifted, a presence lingering, watching. She switched off her player and stared at the silence. But her mind replayed the last words, the warnings buried within that scratched, unaired recording. Suddenly, she heard it. A faint scratching, like nails on wood, coming from behind her. Her gaze snapped back to the dark corner of the attic, where shadows gathered, undulating. She wanted to dismiss it as her imagination, but her instincts told her otherwise. Clambering down from the attic, she told herself it was just her mind, fueled by fear and the eerie recording. But as she reached the safety of her room, her phone buzzed on her nightstand. She picked it up and saw a message from an unknown number. Asterisk, you shouldn't have listened. Now you're part of it. Asterisk, she shivered, trying to dismiss it as a prank, but a sudden, cold draft settled over her. The lights flickered. She looked toward the closet, where a faint, dark shape seemed to pulse, as if breathing. Days passed, but Emily couldn't escape the feeling of eyes watching her, the dread of that voice echoing in her mind. Then came the nightmares, where she was trapped in the attic again, the tape playing endlessly, each time growing clearer, more real. One evening, she found her grandmother's old journal, tucked away in a dusty drawer. Flipping through, she found a page scrawled with trembling handwriting. Asterisk. That recording is cursed. It's the voice of the creatures that dwell beyond the veil, things unaired, forbidden. If you hear it, it will come for you. Accept your fate or run, but you can't hide from what's been unleashed. Emily's pulse raced. The attic's shadows stretched into her bedroom now, dark tendrils creeping across her walls. She tried to scream, but her voice faltered. The voice from the tape, or something pretending to be it, whispering her name, grew louder. In her final attempt to fight back, she smuggled her tape recorder outside and buried it in the forest behind her house, covering it with stones and dirt. Maybe, she thought, that would halt whatever was summoned. Maybe it would end. But as she turned to leave, she caught a glimpse of something, eyes glowing from the woods, watching her. And she realized, with a shudder, that some recordings aren't meant for the world to hear. Some voices are better left unheard. Some recordings, unaired, forbidden, should never see the light of day. Because once they do, they don't stay confined to tape or shadow. They seep into the very fabric of reality, waiting patiently for the next unwary soul to press play.